with the moon, and
Yeah,
he's now thinking of joining the business.
that's great.
I did networking this morning with a lot of interest. I did networking late afternoon, and I've got 6 people that want me to send them the videos and then get on calls and that with them, or rather Trisha to get on the calls. But yeah, no, really good. Up in London to pick up a couple of policies on Friday and Saturday, and hopefully see 3 or 4 other people. Well, not really London, near Heathrow. So yes, it's all coming together. Seeing somebody else tomorrow morning that's interested in joining the business. So yes, it is really
That's
all
great.
coming together and really exciting. And it's lovely to see people, when you change their lives and you give them stuff that they've never dreamed they could have, and information as well, and they just light up, and it's just a lovely business to be in. It really is.
That's great. And what was the monthly premiums you did last night, Elaine?
They come up to £48.
There you go. So if my calculator's correct, minus 40, you just need another, 125 minus 48. You just need another £77 a month before the 25th of July, and you're...
I've got that coming at the weekend.
That's great. That's
so,
great.
Yeah, that's already...
Team leader about to happen.
Yes, great stuff.
Yeah, very proud of you. Great job.
Thank you.
All right. Who else have we got?
And thank you for the support.
Oh, no, that's what we do. That's great. Anybody else?
You don't get it in many businesses.
By the way, the reason why we're kind of like scanty on the team's been on the line tonight is Charles is out doing a financial game plan. John's out doing a financial game plan. And so is Sir Roy is out doing financial game plans. Tabitha, they're all out doing financial game plans. So that's kind of a good thing. It's a good thing. So
yeah,
the call recorded.
That's great. Well, there's a lot going on in the team, and it's very encouraging to see. There's a lot going on in the company. I predict we'll probably break another record or 2 this month. I loved what was it? Emma said. She said she's seen many people struggling, and you're right. Stress does come from finance. My own story is. I don't think I've ever told you this, Tricia, but when I grew up back home in Wales, in South Wales, where I'm from originally, I actually was, involved, or I was part of something called the Winter of Discontent. Do you remember that? 1979. So I would have been 4 + 9. I'd been 13 years of age. There was no electricity. There was no gas. There was no water. There was no TV. And the mining industry, shipyards, steelworks, etc., was devastated back then. And I actually went a week without any food whatsoever. Now, before you say anything, I know I've made up for it since. So I know what it's like to be poor, and that memory still lingers and is still strong. And that's why I'm very determined to make sure that my family doesn't go through something horrific like that. And I'm very determined, because I've become financially independent, to share it with other people. And someone once said to me, a pastor friend of mine, "You love helping the poor, don't you?" I said, "Yes." And he said, "Step 1 is don't be one of them. Become someone who sets an example to everyone around you, and that kind of rubs off." And I would say to each and every single one of you, it's vitally important that once you learn this financial education, to just share it with as many people as possible. Now, I have got to say that 10% of the nation will remain ignorant and stupid enough to kind of ignore you and brush you off and kind of say, "Well, I'm not interested." And that's their right, so don't get frustrated by that. And even some of the people that you recruit will not take up the mantle and take a leadership position and go and share it with other people. That's just the planet we live on. My wife used to work many years ago in the local leisure centre, and she was in charge of membership. And I asked her one day, how many people actually show up to the gym, and she told me that between 200 and 300, depending on what month, people actually kind of turned up, used the squash courts, the swimming pool, or some other facility. And when I asked her how many people actually paid a monthly membership, I was shocked. And I'll bet you'll never guess. It was 7,000 people paid £35 a month, and yet only 200 people actually used the facilities. You know, that's just a fact of life, that not everybody kind of has got a go-getter type mentality. And unfortunately, people do not come with a tattoo on their forehead saying, I'm a go-getter. You cannot and you will not ever be able to measure the heart of a winner, and try not to prejudge who's going to win and who's not going to win. It's a very frustrating kind of exercise if you do that. So we want to give everybody a shot. Certainly we want to give everybody the education because it's free. We want to give everybody the knowledge, but we also want to give everybody a shot by putting them on the playing field and saying, hey, come on, let's give this a go. And that's why I'm so proud of Elaine for doing what you've done. I mean, that is awesome. I mean, it's just a fact of life that not everybody goes out and has the guts to do what you've done and share the information, collect, information, produce a financial game plan, do the quotes, get them insured, and wait, Elaine, until you get your first death claim. It'll motivate. When you get your first death claim, you will. The only thing that'll go through your mind will be, I wish I'd insured them for more, and that's normal. But that changes your life, because all of a sudden you become more convicted. The conviction inside you increases tenfold, because what we do really does change people's lives. That's a fact of life, that 50% of people don't have any life insurance. The other 50% are underinsured as a general rule. In my career, 31 years, I have met 4 people who have enough or too much life insurance. We offer a guarantee to undercut people's premiums on home insurance. Who doesn't want to save some money in that area? Because everyone hates paying for it, yet it's a legal requirement if you own a house. 70% of people don't have a will or a trust, therefore they're exposed to inheritance tax, or they're exposed to care home fees being paid for by the sale of their property. Local councils are grabbing people's properties right now, and if you have a will and a property trust, which is a few £100s, that basically takes those assets outside of the estate, and they can't do that. I firmly believe that there are 5 dynamics in every family right now, and that is, one is people are drowning in debt, which causes stress that Emma was talking about. Number 2, families are really worried about their retirement and their future in that area, because we're just living too long. The stats just tell us that we're getting sick younger and we're living longer, and people are scared of that. People are scared of what technology is doing to the employment world right now. My cousin has worked on the Severn Bridge in South Wales for 31 years. She lost her job this month because it's now automated. They no longer need people to collect the money. So there's that area. And then most people haven't had a pay rise for over 10 years. And as a result, they hate their job and they hate their boss. So the market that we have in front of us is unlimited, unprecedented, and we have a monopoly on it because no one else is doing what we do. So I can't stress enough that I have never, ever been so excited as I am now, because when we started this company 11 years ago, we didn't know whether we were going to make any money. We didn't know whether it was going to work. And after 3 years, we were still wondering, because it was tough. We had one product back then, and it wasn't anywhere near as good as what we've got now. So we just didn't know in the first 3 years whether this thing was going to work. We just kept trying. We kept praying. We prayed a lot. I can tell you that right now. And it does feel like it is a bit, those first 3 to 4 years was a miracle. And then, somehow we got a breakthrough in a couple of areas. We didn't have a financial game plan in our first 4 years. Imagine that. We didn't even have a website in the first 2 years. We didn't have any of the tools you've got right now. And then about the 6th or 7th year, something changed. I don't know if it was the economy. I don't know if it was the leadership maturing. I don't know what it was, but we somehow blasted through and had our first year of, 30-40% growth. And then after about 8 or 9 years, we then, the Vitality plan all of a sudden became very attractive to everyone because, would you believe, cinema tickets? People wanted the thing because of cinema tickets. I mean, how ridiculous is that? And then I'd say about 18 months ago is when it all kind of snapped together. And all of a sudden, we got compound growth. So for 18 months now, and I don't mind can you still see me, Trish?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay, because I can't see you now. I'm just going to read off some stats for you that I'm looking at on my screen. So if I go back to 2016, so in 2016, in the January, which to be fair is never a great month because people are still recovering from hangovers of Christmas and New Year. But we as an organisation, so that's at that point there was 4 base shops, which was myself, Ching, and Arvin Darrell, 4 vice presidents. We did 16.5 recruits in that month. And the company did 35 in a month. We did 31,000 of premium, and the company did 54,000. Okay, so by the end of the year, by October of that year in 2016, for the first time, our hierarchy, we did 101 recruits in a month. And the company did 149, and we did 51,000 of premium, and the company did 60. So in total, in 2016, we did, as a company, where are we? 800, no, that's not right. Bear with me, sorry. We did, there we go, 1,406 members or recruits that joined, and we did 994,000 of annual Vitality premium, so just under $1 million in 2016. So in 2017, my hierarchy went from 4 vice presidents at the beginning to 8, and then by the end of the year we had by the end of 2017 we had 12 vice presidents. And we did, as a hierarchy, we did 1,500, which was a record year for us by a mile. And the company did 2,400 recruits and almost £1.8 million of annual premium. And it was at this point Vitality started taking notice of us, because we got in their top 10 distribution vehicles, and by the end of the third quarter in 2017, they then started, kind of inviting us out for dinner, really, kind of entertaining us. I'm very fortunate as a Liverpool supporter. They, I spent some time on the plane with the Liverpool team, went up to Germany with them, even played at 52 years of age. On their football pitch, which nobody believes, and I've got evidence with a video to prove it. Nobody believes me, but they took us to the cricket matches, the rugby matches, and they started wining and dining us because we started to grow. And according to them, we're the only growing company that they deal with. The rest of the industry is flatlined, so you can see why they're very excited about us. So here we are with let's get this right. So 1.8 million in premium, annual premium for the year, and 2,400 recruits. So here we are, 2018. Tricia, so far the company's done 2,186, and we're barely halfway through the year. In terms of premium, the company now has done 1.5 million, and we're barely halfway through. Sorry, 1.56. Yeah, that's right, 1.56 million pounds of annual premium, and we are now, for 2018, the #1 company in the United Kingdom that distributes Vitality products. And not just in quantity, but in quality, we are standing at 97% of our business stays on the books, where the industry average is 60%-ish, and Vitality's percentage is 70%-ish, and we are #1 by a country mile at 97 point something percent, but off the charts, #1 in production. And if the year ended now, we would be #1. And if our business stopped now in July and the rest of the industry were allowed to continue and they didn't increase any more than they did last year, we would be #1 in the country. So we're going to hopefully be around about double what the #2 company produces, which you may have heard of, a company called St. James's Place. So it's exciting times, and you haven't missed anything, guys. All you've missed is the tough times. Today is an historic day. Maybe it's difficult maybe for you to contemplate what I'm going to talk about now, but it's a big day for us, where we've just signed off on £250,000 of investment from the company into our new IT system. And we've seen every single IT system that the industry has to offer, and our remit to the people who are going to deliver it is, can you make it better than the best that you can see? And they've said yes, and it's going to take them 6 months to put it all together, and that will take us we'll get everything, all the paperwork will be automated. So Elaine, all that paperwork that you've done and they've got to submit, you won't have to do that in 6 months' time. All the all the gathering of ink on paper, you won't have to do that in 6 months' time. You just be pressing buttons. And I've seen the prototypes. I've even trialed some of it now, and that's going to speed things up incredibly. So we've got 224 training videos that are ready to be launched in the next 90 days. And the company has not got any debt. It's very, very profitable now, and it's not a question of whether we'll make it anymore. It's just a question of how big we're going to become. So what does all that mean for you? Well, if you're happy to make an extra £1,000 a month or two part-time, you've got all the tools you need. We do not need to become any better for you to do that. However, I know some of you on the phone, on the Zoom, I can see your pictures. I can see Tracy, know her very well. Elaine, I know her very well. Who else can I see? Obviously, Mark, I know you very well. So I know that you guys, and possibly the rest of you that I don't know, are more ambitious than that. And if you are, I want you to listen to some of the things that I'm going to say now, because they're very vital about your career. The company needs to improve and will improve, and we're going through a huge improvement program. But don't wait. Build your hierarchy and allow the company to catch you up. Build your business ahead of where the company is right now, and let the company catch up to you. Don't kind of sit back and go, well, I'm just going to wait until automation happens. I'm going to sit back and wait until I like the color of the website, and so on. Build your business with the view to the commission schedule and the compensation package. The compensation package is outstanding, but I promise you the compensation package is going to get better, because the costs of the company no longer will increase. But yet the revenue will, and the profitability will, and therefore what they call economies of scale will, which means there'll be more commission. Vitality will increase the amount of money they give us, as will all the other product providers. And that money will go to the field, but it won't go to the people at the bottom of the chain. It won't go to the reps. It'll go to the people who want to build a big business, a big hierarchy. Leadership is what decides what, the quality and the quantity of leaders we have will decide how big we're going to get. So we pay big money to people who want to be in a leadership position. And that, frankly, is at the vice president level, senior vice president, national sales director, and senior national sales director, which we haven't got one yet. So get on your bike, go and get as many people on your team as possible, and allow the company to catch up. As good as it is now, it's going to get 100% better. I made 103,000 in my first full year with one product and no website and no financial game plan. So I know you can do exactly the same with what we've got now. All you've got to do is pay a price and go and build your team, which starts with you and will finish with you. Your leadership is everything, because people will do what you do. If you do nothing, your team will do nothing. If you do a lot of your team will follow and do a little bit. If you do a massive amount, you'll then attract some people who will do a lot. Your team are just a diluted version of yourself. And I don't know of any other opportunity, and I've seen them all in the United Kingdom, that's better than ours. And I also don't know anything that's bigger and more important from a social perspective. One of the people who was in debt when I met them 4 years ago and had just tried to commit suicide sent me a lovely text message today. I was just going to read it, actually, if I can find it. And it said, from memory, it said, 4 years ago, I was about to take my life. Then you entered into my life and showed me there was hope. And you restructured my finances. And today I've become a grandfather. And without you, I'd never have seen that grandchild. So thank you very much, Steve, et cetera, et cetera. So, those heartfelt moments just make what we do so worthwhile. And you'll get them. You'll get people dying, and you'll get people, you'll have saved their lives. You'll get people who were about to get divorced because of, the biggest issue in marriages is finance. The biggest arguments in marriages about finance. You'll solve all those problems, and you should feel very, very good about what you do, because the impact is huge when you directly do it. But when you indirectly do it, because you're building a hierarchy and you hear stories from your downline like that, now all of a sudden you're making an impact on your community, possibly even the country. Collectively, we've got a big job to do, and we'll save people's lives. So just go after it and get the people on board. Enthusiasm is the biggest asset that you can have. The words you use are secondary to your enthusiasm, but you've got a workbook. If you haven't get one, all the words you need are in there. So I don't know what else to say, but that's what's on my heart.
Thank you, Steve. And I think I'll just also say and reiterate that we have a most fabulous team. And I want to kind of single you all out here just to say, you guys have come in and stepped up. Elaine has. I'd love to hear from Tracy, by the way, because it'd be great just to hear, because, Tracy, what I loved when I spoke to her, because we were all pretty new to all of this, but she said, I'm going to practicing the financial game plan, the kitchen table presentation. But what I just want to say is that each person that's on this line right now, you all are leaders, every one of you. Jeff, I've only met Jeff, we haven't met in person, but the way he operates every single day, real leadership. Christelle's only just come on board the team, and yet immediately she followed exactly what to do. Mark, I mean, my goodness, he's got 40 pastors booked into the Hillsong conference already, and it's just like absolutely storming. And and I look at Robert, who's here, and he's not showing his face, but Robert has come into this, and once again he steps out and gets action happening and uses the team support. And so there's a lot of Ananja here who's absolutely going for it. Emma's got a huge story about what she's committed to make this happen. And and Natalie, of course, and Natasha are just joining. But I just want to say that there's an amazing group of people who are stepping in here. And what Steve just shared here is stupendous, because what is extraordinary is where those numbers in 2016, 2017, 2018, and I believe that this team here and those out doing financial game plans tonight have enormous, positioning to change the whole game. And Steve, I think this is what you're probably saying, is that, statistically there's been a certain way it's grown, but there could be double numbers every single month just because of people in this team just seeing, it's time to go like this, like in the company.
Yeah, and we've got some records to break. David Morgan down in Swansea became a vice president in 5.5 months. Mel Bagano in Cardiff, she became a vice president in 10 months, but she's now developed 2 vice presidents herself, which means in about 2.5 years, she'll have gone from rep to senior vice president. There's a lady, I won't bore you with too much of the detail, but she joined 2 weeks ago, and in her first week, she's recruited 7 people, and one of her people's recruited 2 people. So, and that's down in the Swindon area, and she's putting a group of 50, 60 people together for me, and it's all over the country now. We've got Scotland that's doing really well, Northern Ireland, Midlands. We've got, if you look at all the vice presidents, they're all up, based on where they were last year. And as a consequence, the company's up by 289% in a year. I mean, you just can't say that's shabby. It's very good. And, it's kicking off everywhere. So it's very, very exciting right now. And apologize if I'm overexcitable, but, my income's doubled in the last 12 months. So excuse me for for being excited about that.
It would be great, Tracy. Could you share? You just showed me today, like, the things are happening. You've got like all this stuff.
I've got vitality options coming on my ears at the moment. There's about £3,000 worth there on carrybacks in the next week, hopefully. And I think what Steve mentioned on a call, was it Sunday night? Don't wait for people. Just keep, because all you control is your own activity. And one of them here, Aminat's, I've already met him twice now in person. He's a Pakistani, lovely, lovely family. And as I was going through the financial education with him, he was saying, Tracy, will you come out with me and share this within the Pakistani community? Because they need to hear this. And just going through his vitality options today, to go back to him and his wife, what he's currently paying and what he's covered for, this is going to blow his mind.
How much are you saving him?
Pardon?
How much are you saving him, Tracy?
Well, it's not that I'm saving him that much, really, but it's the additional cover that he's getting. The 3 children covered, which weren't. And it's just like, well, he's paying this money anyway, but getting a fraction of the benefits. I mean, I can take it cheaper, Steve, but knowing Aminat, as I do now, he will want his entire family covered.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You
just tell Andy to hide his legs when he walks through. This outrageous behaviour.
Andy,
I just saw his legs. I mean, that's outrageous.
Stop it. And when was it? Yesterday? I think it was yesterday. Now, we own some properties that we rent out, okay? And we've had some pretty major claims. We contacted Premier, and guess how much they have saved us in insurance on our rental properties a year?
Go on.
£2,500.
Wow, £200 a month.
That's huge.
That is.
You know? So it's like, right, guys, you need to get me in front of you, because this is how much we've saved. And I know other friends rent out properties. That's £2,500 a year in one phone call.
Wow.
Now, and I think sometimes people need to see it for their own eyes. to get that passion behind them to be like, you've got to get me in front of you. And I was talking to a lady today that is not able to get a mortgage through Santander because she's wanting to release some capital to create a retreats. Now, it's like a garage that she's converted, basically, okay? But said mortgage company will not allow her to have a remortgage because it's seen as a new build. And I said, right, Janet, let me come and do the do, and we can sort you out. I'm positive we can sort you out, you know? I'm seeing a lady tomorrow through networking, just a little pure comments on the networking Facebook group. Tracy, can we have a chat, please? So it's like, oh my gosh, I need to have a secretary already. I can't get through all this stuff, you know? And Dell is an absolute angel because I'm really testing him now, Steve, on, I'm sure he's told you, like income protection, protection for the kids if they've got serious illness cover. So Dell is an absolute angel supporting us. He really, really is.
Yeah, he's a good lad. I know he hasn't told me, but
okay, yeah, I'm another one. It's me again, Dell. Me again. Sorry. So he's just sorting it out for me.
yeah.
So yeah, if this all goes through, just this, there's about £3,000 in premiums there in a year.
It's great.
So it's there for taking, but we have to open our mouths and don't allow the people we're talking to control our speeds.
Yeah. So team leader's a slam dunk then.
Well, it should have happened last month, Steve, but we had that conversation. You know, it's whatever. You know, everyone's journey is everyone's journey. It really is.
Yeah.
One thought just about that, because it's just efficiency. I always think of efficiency. Given the fact that we have this technology and evenings might be good. I mean, what do you think, Steve, of the possibility? I mean, I know you've kindly said that you'd come on once a week or twice a week, just at 9 o'clock, but there's going to be key questions that people have in relationship to their financial game plans, or maybe ways to get it even more effective or efficient, or even stuff on vitality. Do you think that it'd be good just to have, maybe instead of Dell getting all these random questions, is this you and Dell and maybe a couple of others who get proficient in on the evening Q&A?
I think it is useful. What I would say though is it's also quite dangerous, because what you don't want is, you don't want people on that call who have never gone out and done it, because it's a little bit like my son saying he could drive a car after his theory test, but he's never actually been out in a car. So the only way I'll give you an example. When I first started, I built my first team similar to what you've done, and my first bunch of people came in, and my first thought was, right, get them all in a classroom, let's teach them all the detail. Then what happened, as some of them went out and did the financial game plans, they come and asked me questions, and I said, well, I covered that in the class, and they went, yeah, I can't remember it. And it's almost like you don't really learn how to drive a car until you're actually in one, and you're trying to explain to someone how to change gear without them being in the car is, in my opinion, a waste of time. And that just comes from 30 years of experience. But if you get together a group of people like Tracy and Elaine that are actually driving the car, then it's easy to steer it. Whereas if people aren't driving a car, you can't.
No. I mean, the great thing about Zoom is we can control the people who come in.
Yeah,
they have to only enter if they have done a financial game plan or 2 or 3 that week.
No problem with that.
And if not, we knock them off to say, go out and do it.
Wow, well, you can press that button.
I just think that, you know, there's just some great gems coming through. And I think for somebody like Dell, instead of repeating himself, you know, we could even record it. We could record those ones particularly, so that people can just use the recording. And I think that would be really brilliant. So we'll set that up. Yes.
Not a problem.
Fabulous.
So
on that, guys, just a thought. Can I go with a thought?
Go with it, Mark.
What about a collective online sort of FAQ So, for example, today, Steve, I've asked you one of the very fundamental questions: who are our partners that we're working with currently? Because I know it changes. So, if there was a sort of central pool only available to obviously signed up reps or associates, that you could just come and access this information. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we use WhatsApp a lot for that, and I know you guys are using the Telegraph kind of thing. So that's, I find that Telegraph is way more superior than WhatsApp. But the challenge with Telegraph is that most people aren't signed up to it, and WhatsApp is almost like the Microsoft, if you like, of, you know, Apple's fast. I use Apple products, particularly my iBook and my iMac, but most people are on obviously Microsoft. Now I know they're kind of very similar now, but back in the day they weren't. We have some vitality videos that anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes long. We have you know, these videos that we've put together. See if I can find one. So people are finding those very useful, and yeah, the frequently asked questions are covered. We've also got there's 5 videos that I've done recently on Zoom, which talk about the back end. So Tracy will receive these very soon. When she starts to process some business, there's underwriting issues, and you know, there's so that it backs up that. So we're getting there in that area without a doubt. But yeah, I mean, you know, it is what it is, and you know, there's the stumbling forward kind of technique that we've had, but we're moving towards automation and you know, everything being online. So we're not far away.
It's better than we've ever experienced before, I have to say.
Oh,
it really, the structure's there for sure.
Yes, certainly is.
Yeah.
And encouraging about the vitality and all those new videos, Steve.
Yeah. And if you drop me a text or a WhatsApp group, I can send them to you. They're very good, particularly some of the instructional ones about how to log on to the website and all that. But of course, you've got to be licensed to do that. And, you know, there's a danger, you know, because there's so much, you know, what, you know, if someone's brand new, Mark, and we gave them, you know, we backed up a truck and just dumped it all onto them, I think they would get overwhelmed. So
Yes, I completely understand.
And what the new website and training website will do, will only release the training video to the people who need it at that time.
Okay.
There's a kind of an unlock. You qualify for this position, then it opens up
forward
training that's relevant at that time. And I you know, that's going to take, that's probably the hardest part to put together. But they are going to do that.
Cool. Good.
In the meantime, just keep texting me, mate. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Steve, what would be your biggest advice to everyone for the rest of the month then? What's your takeaway for everyone?
You know, if I could go back in time and change one thing, I would change. I mean, I fell in love with helping people with their finances. You know, I've been like that for a long time, even before Genistar. But someone once said to me, Steve, what you've built is a boutique style business. How about you do it properly and go and build a chain of supermarkets? It resonated with me, and I said, well, what do you mean? And it said, don't lead with sales. There was a guy called Bob Safford Sr., you know, who was, you know, a guy who led me to the Lord. He made me a better husband, a better father, a better person. And he basically said, look, go and build something which makes an impact. And the thing is, doing 1 or 2 financial game plans a week will never make an impact, because if you look at where we're at right now, 31,000 financial game plans we've done. Divide that by 66 million people in the United Kingdom, and that comes to times 100, 0.046, call it 0.05%. So it's not even 0.1% of the nation. So what we need to do collectively is focus on recruiting and building the distribution system, because every time you recruit someone, they need a financial game plan. And then they open the door to, on average, according to our stats, 2 point something other people, like their best friend, their sister, their brother, their mother, and then it kind of compounds from there. So if I could say the one thing you need to focus on in July is get yourself into a rhythm and habit of recruiting one person direct to you every week. All your promotions will take care of themselves if you do that and people start to copy you. So it's no secret, my organization's now recruiting 250 people a month, and over 200, about 210 of those people who are brand new into the business purchase a Vitality plan, and they're, on average, they purchase one of the products we offer. So I don't have to worry about where the premium or the money's coming from, because through internal kind of consumption, internal kind of purchasing, because people are falling in love with it, they're buying it for themselves. So my one recommendation would be for the rest of this month is, if you're not licensed, go and recruit 3 or 4 people between now and the end of the month. And the licensing and the promotion will take care of itself. If you are licensed, like Tracy and Elaine, get your team leader done, and do not sleep for the next 15 days until it's done, because now you're getting paid at 50%, Tracy, 50%, Elaine, instead of 25. Where else has anyone ever doubled your pay before? I mean, let's say you do 1,500 this month, Trace. Let's say that's $3,000, yeah? Times that by 0.25, you're going to get in your bank account £562. You do it again at a team leader, you're going to get £1,100, £1,200 instead. What do you prefer, 1,200 or 600? Ridiculous question, I know. So, it's madness what we're doing. And, we're all going on a cruise in September. We've got Atlanta as well. They're going to announce the new trip in the next 90 days. Seriously, the food tastes far better when it's free. Getting on an aeroplane and you haven't paid for it, you just feel like you're in, not first class, you're in world class. I mean, it just tastes, smells, looks like royalty when it's free. I mean, only the Queen flies free. So get yourself on a trip, and that's what for the rest of July, just go after it. Go mental, go maniac, and you'll be very glad you did.
Steve, one of the huge advantages that Emma has, Christelle, Natalie, Natasha, Robert, Angie, is that they have missed us coming in like we did. Like we all came in like maybe 8 weeks ago, kind of a bit like unsure. They can come into an absolute running storm, and that's hugely, so it's going to be so inspiring for them coming through to team leaders and so on. Easier for the new, because they just know exactly where to go with our clearer direction.
The number one clear direction is, for those of you that Trish has just mentioned, is step one, get 3 people on your team. Don't worry about, the online testing. Don't worry about anything else. Get 3 people on your team. Because if you do that, the rest of it will take care of itself. And the 3 people who join your team will all need a financial game plan. So you can sit and watch your field trainer do that with your people. So they're getting trained, and guess what? They'll go and get 3 people first as well. Whereas if you kind of go, right, I need to sit down, I need to read the certification manual, I need to take the online test, and you then 2 weeks later recruit someone, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do exactly the same. So by the end of the year, there'll be 2 of you and a dog. There'll be, there won't be a business. There'll be a kind of, a huddle going on. Whereas what you want going on is you want an explosion going on with people joining, and that comes from building the distribution system, because people will copy what you've done. And I keep saying, if I could go back 11 years, I'd have stopped. I'd have stopped in my tracks and thought, what I need, if I want to make an impact in my community, the only way I'm going to do that is by building an army of financial educators, not an army of educated people. At the end of the day, what we do is very simple. We turn the pages and read stuff, fill out a form and read questions that give us the answers for that form. Then we type them out into the online software. Then we press some buttons to print it out. Then, as Tracy's explained, you get some quotes, go back and say, look, saved you £200 a month on your property. I've saved you 20 quid a month on your life insurance. Do you want to, option A, keep paying what you're paying? Option B, pay less? Or option C, pay the same and have a lot more? I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's obvious what they're going to choose, and the one that they choose is either way is going to pay you money. And what greater existence is there from helping people and getting paid a fortune for doing it? It blows me away every time I think and talk about it. I mean, it's crazy. So is that it?
We just love Steve.
Oh no.
We're very, very grateful. We really are. We don't take it for granted. You, the leadership, you know, Jeff, we don't take it for granted that we are coming at such a time as this, and that $250,000 going into the software. Oh my goodness! I mean, what that's going to show up. It's a good story. So I really want to thank everyone for coming on a 9 o'clock on a Tuesday evening.
Well, listen, thank you, Tricia, for your leadership. I mean, you know, the team you're assembling is without doubt the best quality team that I've seen. But don't mistake quality. You know, don't kind of focus on quality to reduce your quantity. Okay, you know, quantity will beget quality. That's for sure. You know, an army of 10,000 ants will kill 5 mice. Okay, so I'm telling you that, or even an elephant. You know, so quantity will beget quality, I assure you. So it is a volume numbers business, because we've got 66 million people to get to. Doesn't matter how good people are, we can't get to 66 million people. We need quantity, and just give everybody a chance. And you know, I've got to say, John and Trish, without doubt, you're the finest quality people I've met since Genostar started, and you've had the best start I've seen, because what you've got is you've got compounding people now. So keep that compounding going, and not only will your promotions and vice president's position take care of itself, but the people underneath you will follow. So, you know, I want to thank you, Tricia, for your leadership. It's been outstanding.